Hey, hey, are you there?
What? What are you doing? You called me.
Let's do this, man. Come on.
Let's do it.
Hey, welcome back to another episode on Between the Notes podcast. Today we have a dear friend of mine joining us. Welcome, Adelmo Guidarelli. How are you, man?
Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Good to see you both. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely. So, I've been wanting to get you on here for a while, and I'm so glad that you and Brian are meeting each other, in person-ish,
Sure.
this is great. And I think that today we're going to talk obviously all about you, but I think some of the things that, the questions we get asked all the time, right? Like from how do you have a family and be an opera singer at the same time? Or how do what happens when you have to, I don't know, step away because you have an alien relative, or what do you do to balance all of that? And I think for someone as yourself who has been in this industry, what, almost
27.
27 years, 27 years. So
Oof. And I'm
talk
still not
to
a household name.
well, now that's also another topic we should talk about, right? Who is? I mean, who is a household name unless you're talking about a very intense fan of opera, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
So talk to us a little bit. How did you get into singing, and how did all that get started? And tell us your story.
Okay. Well, early on, I was during high school. I fell into being a lead singer of a heavy metal band.
As you
So
do.
Sure, as we
as
all do.
yeah, as we do. It was called DEF CON because we saw the movie War Games, and
All right,
so
DEFCON 5, 4,
remember
3.
DEF
Yeah,
CON 5? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So what happened? I mean, basically, I was singing in a band in high school. I was playing guitar and singing lead and screaming in my bedroom. And my mom said, "Hey, how about I pay for some voice lessons for you?" And I was like, awesome, that'd be great. At that time, I had really, 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 really long hair. I had total metal hair, unlike now because it's all gone away. But so I started taking voice lessons at the Westchester Conservatory of Music. I live in New York, and the teacher there said to I was taking lessons to sing metal. She said, I hear an operatic quality to your voice. And I was like, but I want to be a rock star, like you know. But then she sat me down and she says, "Come over here. Let's sit down before we start to sing." And she played me a record of Luciano Pavarotti singing Nessun Dorma.
Mm.
And she said, "You know that he's singing that that whole song at the point aria. He's singing all of that without a microphone over like an 80 or not whatever the orchestration is for touring
Yeah,
voice."
it's
Right.
big. It's big. Yeah.
And in my young mind, I was like, "Wow, that's so metal." What's more metal than singing without a mic over an orchestra? I mean, come
Sure.
on,
Sure.
that's
Right.
amazing. I mean, you guys know, you do it. So that started my vocal track as far as taking voice lessons and things like that. That flash forward a few years, I got into the Jerome Hines Young Artist Program that he was running out of Symphony Hall in Newark. And I studied with Mr. Hines for, I don't know, 8 years or so during that time of my developments before I made my debut. And so I was in my mid 20s at this point. And his program was really cool because he brought on people like, so I took a lesson with Franco Corelli. I took a lesson with Robert Merrill, Licia Albanese, Renato Scotto, like, Tito Copo. I think we talked about Tito
Tito Capobianco.
coming to give talk to us about staging and directing and things like that. Marilyn Horn came over. I mean, it was crazy. It was crazy time for us
Wow.
as young artists being in that, because it was right across the river. So they would come over and give master classes per se, and we'd sing through things like my first sing through. I remember was Valentine actually because I was the lyric baritone when I first started, and
Mm-hmm.
Julius Rudel conducted us.
Wow.
Wow.
So I mean, it was crazy.
Before this, you didn't have any kind of training or any kind of
No,
you're
I
just
was
like, "Oh, I guess this is how it goes. I get to work with Corelli and Pavarotti, like all these
yeah,
people."
it was
Right.
crazy. And others in that program also were like this is nuts. Like, what movie is that? This is nuts. This is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. Like, it's like it was so cool though, and we learned so much from all of them. And according to Mr. Hines and Robert Merrill, they're like, "Wow, you're going to be the next big baritone, and you're gonna," like they planted
From
these
their lips to
things.
God's ears, right?
Exactly. Um, so that sort of got what got me started early on in the career there. And Mr. Hines hooked us up with, at that point, he was with Jim Sardos, was his agent. He and his wife Rita had an agency, and we sort of funneled through Jim's office anybody in the program to start trying to get us gigs and auditions and things like that.
Right. That's
So
great.
that was like the sort of intro, um, my training, let's say.
I feel like we could fill a whole episode of just questions that I would have about what did Robert Merrill say?
Yeah, I mean, what's it like to sit across from and sing for Franco Corelli? I mean,
No
come on.
kidding.
Wow.
And well, it's
Yeah.
freaky. It's freaky. It's freaky.
Sure.
I mean, my first figure on the Barber Seville, Mr. Hines didn't tell us. The dress rehearsal, I came out from the back and I'm like, la 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 la. So I make the corner. I'm like, la to go. Holy cow! Franco Corelli sitting in the front seat. So he was sitting there with his wife Loretta and their little tiny white dog, their little Westie dog. He was
Oh my
sitting in the
gosh.
front row, staring. Nobody told me because they were mean. Nobody told us, and nobody. So
Well,
when I came out to sing the first notes, he's sitting there. I was like, "Ugh, ugh." It was crazy. It was so
unreal.
nerve wracking, and he was so nice. He came
Yeah.
backstage
Yeah,
after
I've
he
heard
signed
he's
my
phenomenal.
Largo.
Wow.
That was a year before I made my debut at Palm Beach, so it was quite. Uh, Jerry, we would do these like productions, like church. It was in a church, you know what I'm saying? So we can get things on our feet and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Sure.
And then he would
Sure.
do various concerts here and there around Jersey. It's, the halls. So to get us some exposure,
Right.
Right.
exposure bucks, so.
I mean, that's amazing. I mean, it's similar, I guess, to Martina Arroyo's Prelude to Performance. I mean, I think that's what she tries to do with, they put on productions of such, but there aren't too many golden age singers still helping out young artists that I know. Marilyn Horn Foundation used to be a part of the thing that I was a part of, actually.
Right.
Mhm.
But, it's what an incredible opportunity for you and for everybody else. That's awesome.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was really crazy. And I'm thinking today about stuff. We did a bohem in a ballroom somewhere in Jersey. I was singing Marcello, and the two people in the program got ill. So Steven and Aylin came because they were at AVA. So
Stephen who?
Stephen
Costello.
Costello,
It's Costello.
and Aylin came up to
Eileen
sing that.
Perez, you mean?
Eileen
Eileen.
Perez,
Yeah, yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
came up to sing that setup with us. They just like jumped in and we had this like little performance in this ballroom for like
Oh,
a
wow.
guild or a bunch of people.
How
Right.
funny.
I just remembered that this morning about my crazy path things, and look at those two now,
Sure.
they're just like household names. So
Sure. So that ended up leading into, like you said, your debut at West Palm Beach or Palm Beach Opera, yeah?
yep, Palm
And,
Beach, yep.
what was that experience like?
That was crazy. Um the audition process was the craziest. I was at Mr. Hines' house. He lived in Jersey. And so I went over for an audition and, sing this, Mr. Green. He had an A flat, like no other A flat. He's like, how come you don't have an A flat? I got an A flat. You know, I'm like, you're Jerome Hines. That's why, So I'm sitting there in my lesson and the phone rings. So he picks it up. He's like, hello? Oh, Maestro Guadagno, how are you, Anton? How are you doing today? Because Jerry's wife was Jerome. His wife was ill at the time, and they were best friends. Lucia Evangelista, she was also a singer. So Guadagno, they were talking for a little while, and Mr. Hines was like, I've got this young singer here with me. Would you like to hear him? And Maestro said yes, and uh, he told Jerry that they were casting for Pagliacci and that they hadn't cast Silvio yet. And I'd been working on Silvio with Mr. Hines for a couple months. So he took the phone, he put the phone on the piano. I sang, I sang the whole piece. Picked the phone up, and Guadagno was like, yep, he'll be the A cast for 2 performances. Click.
Wow.
Wow.
That
Cool.
was how my I auditioned for my Palm Beach Opera debut.
Wow.
I mean, imagine today,
And
no way.
it's just been up from there, right?
Yeah, it's been up. Actually, they had me back for my 25th anniversary in the business in 2024. The same month, they brought me back for their Tosca. I did the sacristan.
Fun,
So it was
yeah.
like a full circle of 25 years in the business. My debut was there. I came back for the 25th year, and did the sacristan there. It was so cool. It was very nice of them, and yeah, it was a blast. So it was super cool. And the first to your question, it was scary working with Guadagno. I didn't know who he was when he
Mhm.
made that phone call. I didn't know until I went home and I started looking him up. Like
Right.
Right.
Bastianini and Corelli, Merrill, like all the Bierling, whoever, all these amazing golden. Good thing I didn't know who he was because I would have been more freaked out.
Sure.
Sure.
Well, that's how it
So
goes, right? I mean, oftentimes, especially as young singers, you're put in front of people, whether you're doing a competition and they might be on the judges, panel or whatever. Unless you do your due diligence and do your research beforehand and realize who's going to be on the panel and who, oftentimes I mean, I've certainly been in those situations where I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know who that was. And like to your point, sometimes it's best you don't because then you get all nervous and get in your head about it. But
yeah.
Right.
Oh, speaking of that, I think. Oh, sorry. I realized that I have this too. Do you guys know Thomas Potter, baritone? Have you
Mm-mm.
heard of
I
this
know, I
gentleman?
know a guy named Andrew Potter. I don't know Thomas Potter. I don't know.
No, Thomas Potter. So he gave the cast opening night. This was his opening night gift to us. He was Tonio, and I still have this thing.
Bring it into the camera just a little. I'm just afraid that once it airs, if it's yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Oh
look at
wow,
that.
It's
look at
Yeah.
what.
a Pagliacci on a string.
Wow,
It's really cool, and it says "Toy, Toy, Toy," Palm Beach Opera, Cav Pag, April 1999.
wow.
How
Thomas
cool.
Potter. Yeah, he was awesome. He was I think he's teaching now. I haven't seen him in a while, but yeah, I forgot. I had this. Anyway, sorry.
That's cute.
Sidebar.
That's cute. Well, so let's say this. I don't mean to. Let's say that we try to be honest. We try to be real. We try to bring information and truth to especially young singers who might be watching this and thinking one thing and realizing another. And I would assume that with that kind of buildup, right? You're working with the greats of the world, and then you make your debut as Silvio at Palm Beach. The next thing, well, I would imagine, well, why not Lyric Opera Chicago? Or then the next is the Met, and then the next is La Scala. Your career hasn't quite, gone in that direction. I think you've spent the majority of your time. I think of it as like the what keeps the regional opera companies alive in this country. These I mean, the way that companies are organized, if anyone's watching this that don't realize, they tend to do it, but with letters A, B, C, and D, and then after
Mhm.
D is unknown, and it's
Right.
referring to the budget that these houses have, and I'm sure it's changed over the years, but an A house would be something like the Met in Chicago, San Francisco, Houston, Seattle, I don't know, things like that, and then there's B houses that are like Atlanta, or maybe even Atlanta's an A house. I'm not even sure anymore, but there's a sort of tiers, right? And then we get into the sea houses of the world, which would be like is like Shreveport a sea house or a D? I'm not even sure. Like,
Don't even know. CD,
but
probably.
let's say this: a lot of those houses, even B and C and D houses, they tend to do a 2 week rehearsal period, 1 week of tech in the theater, and then a Friday evening and a Sunday matinee, and then you're done,
Right.
right?
My life, pretty much.
And so with that, it's not to say that you can't make money as that, but talk a little bit with us about what that experience has been like and how to string gigs like that together and how your experiences have been sort of being in that tier and being in that level and what you have experienced through those opportunities.
Cool. Sure. To dovetail on, this major buildup, what happened was, when I left Palm Beach, Maestro Guadagno offered me a fest at Vienna Staatsopera, where he was intendant at that point. So when I was leaving, he said, "I'd love to bring you over. I'm going to talk to Jerry about it. Let's get this done." I said, "That's amazing. That's a great opportunity. Thank you so very much." And then that all was coming through, so I wasn't taking any other gigs or any contracts because that was going to happen. Then he passed away. So
Mm.
Guadagno passed away, and when he passed away, the new intendant canceled all the previous contracts that any of us had. So I was waiting around maybe 5 or 6 months with no auditions, no nothing, because this 2 or 3 year opportunity was going to be presenting
Uh-huh.
itself, and it just went poof out of, and that would have been a major, like, talk about a major opportunity for a young singer
Sure.
Sure.
to get in that system at that point 30 years ago. I
Yeah.
mean, who I hope that when we die, that we get to go up. I hope there's a big board and that we can go up to every single point in our life. And, like, if we pick another path, we can. I hope it shows us the movie in our mind of what that path would have looked like.
That's that's an amazing thought,
I mean, what if Guadagno didn't die? What if I did get the fesh? What if I did go over there at that point in my life?
right?
What would my life be today? Craziness, you know?
I
So to your
remember
point,
that
sorry.
I think the guy that took over after him was Ian Hollander, and because I remember when I won the George London Foundation competition, I got the Vienna Prize, and so I went over to Vienna in 2006, I think it was. I think I won in '05, and then in January of '06, I went over for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I worked with Hilda Zadig with like voice lessons and stuff, and then had daily German language lessons, and then the experience culminated in a audition for the Vienna Staatsoper. And I
Uh-huh.
remember everyone leading up, was warning me, like, listen, sometimes he'll cut you off after, like half of a piece. He might not ask for two pieces. Just be aware. Don't worry. Okay, all right. So I go in and I sang Act One, Eugene Onegin, the Когда бы жизнь домашним кругом, я ограничусь. So I sing that, and he looks at me and he goes, "Why would you sing such a long and boring aria?" And I looked at him. I started laughing. I was like, "Okay, well, what would you like to hear?" And he was like, "Let's hear the Verdi." And I had Io Morro, the Don Carlo, Rodrigo's aria. And so I
Not
sang that.
super short either.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
no,
No,
that's
no.
not short.
Yeah. And so I sang that, and he was like, "Okay, this is fantastic." And there was like a table of like 14 or 12 people. Like it was a lot of people. And he looks, he's like, I hear him saying this, like I'm like, I don't know, 20 feet from him. And he's like, "Can we offer him a fest? Can we, do we have can we, and he's literally like saying this out loud. Can we offer him a fest? This is great."
That's awesome,
And,
right?
and people are like, we don't have a position. So
Uh,
I know what that feeling is, where you're like right there at the fork in the road and you're like, "Oh, I'm going to get a fest contract at the Vienna Staats. Oh, no, I'm
right.
not. Okay, no, just kidding. Okay, all right, all right."
It's crazy. Well, it's the business is crazy,
Yeah, yeah, no
So,
kidding.
yeah. So then after that, unfortunately, then my mom got sick. So not only did I lose that contract, then my mom got diagnosed with lung cancer, and being an only child, I took myself out of the regional circuit for almost 2 years because my dad worked, and he and I took care of her at that point. So after the 2 years, after those 2 years, when I wanted to try to get back into um, the business, my voice teacher at the time paired me with a tenor, and he was like an amazing pianist and a singer, and we came up with a show called the Bad Boys of Opera. So my first getting back into the business per se was not regional. It was external, like creating this show with our teacher at the time and a tenor baritone. We did all these tenor baritone bits. It was called the Bad Boys of Opera. We did an off Broadway run. We went to Vegas with it, so we
Wow.
had some
Wow, that's so cool.
success
Yeah.
with the show. And out of the show, also we piggybacked a TV show. So not only were we doing the stage show, but we also had a TV show that was called Voices Among Us. There's some videos online of us doing interviewing famous and not famous artists. So I was the
Cool.
producer and the editor, and I did all the back table work on that after we produced it and we get it off. We were in 6 different regions amongst around the United States, and we had about 20 episodes in the can, I guess. The
Oh,
thought
wow.
was to get it to a major network, um,
Mhm.
but for multiple reasons that didn't come to fruition. So, but it was yet another thing um, to that I was doing to that fulfilled me artistically, even though I wasn't on the operatic stage yet.
Right.
Um, So what happened was once the two-man show didn't didn't work out, my singing partner didn't choose to do it anymore. So what happened was we had contracts with New Jersey State Opera to do the show with their tour as a tour for nursing homes, for schools and stuff like that. So what
Mhm.
happened was the two-man show became a one-man show. It became Operation Adelmo. So with opera in the title, and I
Oh, I love it.
continued. We continued. It was called Operation Adelmo, a rare medium well done. So that wasn't my idea. That was Mike Wills who wrote the show with us.
Wow.
Came up with that. Great writer. He wrote for Penn and
Funny.
Teller and the Blue Man Group, and so we started doing the show. And we went to the Edinburgh Fest with it. We did a month there with the show. We got great reviews. And because Mike, the guy who wrote it, wanted to try to get it into opera companies. So his
Mhm.
goal was to try to, if I'm on a gig, I can also offer this 30 to, it was a 90-minute show. You can offer this 30 to 90-minute piece to your board, your members, your galas, whatever. There's a whole little skit section of I do different costume changes. No more Rice Krispies. There's this whole like
Oh
thing
my
that
god.
ties. No, it's brilliant. It's called Medley of Opera Melodies is the middle
Uh,
section that has all these. It's really brilliant. Yeah, Mike Wells is the name. He wrote it. It's brilliant.
mm,
So the so then I started getting back into trying to get stage with the regional circuits and getting back out there.
Right.
And that's how I started like piecing together just work. So I reached out to different agents and people I'd known back in my Palm Beach days before I made that, because this was started like 4 years later now, 5 years after
Okay.
that, after taking care of my mom and then doing a stage show and a TV show things, um, getting back into and trying to get an agent. So I got an agent and we started just trying to get my chops back, my stage chops.
Sure.
And so and I know you know this gentleman very well. One of the very first production back was A Marriage of Figaro as Figaro at oh my god, they're gonna kill me. St. Pete Opera, St. Petersburg Opera in Florida with Dean
mhm.
Anthony as the
Dean Anthony.
director.
Sure. Sure.
Sure,
Talk
yeah.
about trial because so I went into the room. He's amazing. I mean, so much great stagecraft that he taught me. But I went into the room and I'm like, look, great to meet you. This is my first stage show in like 5 years. And he was like, what? So he was like shocked. And yet I think he was happy because I said, just tear into me, man. I just want to get my skills back. I want you to make me the best me that I can be. And he did. He tore into me. And man, I learned, I think I did like 8 productions with him since then.
Oh wow.
Um, but
And
anyway,
this is how Adelmo and I met. We met on a gig where Dean Anthony was directing us in my one and only Fledermaus experience, where I sang. I was talked into singing the
My
role of
god.
Eisenstein.
Right. So high. It's so
Yeah.
high.
but you nailed
Whew.
it. You nailed it. You had no
Sure.
trouble with that.
Sure.
You had no trouble with that.
It doesn't mean it was fun. It doesn't mean it
Yeah,
was
right.
fun.
Doesn't mean
No
I was
visible trouble.
scared.
Well, the
Yeah.
first time I heard you sing, though, you sang the Vision Fugitive at that opening night party.
Oh,
And
that's
I
right.
was
We
like,
had like a gala thing, right?
yeah.
Right.
And I was like, I got to meet this guy, man. You killed that art. It's
I'd
amazing.
say
We
that piece is not so low, actually, having just worked it with a baritone of mine earlier
what's that? The
today,
Vision?
actually.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I was like, all those Fs and G
Oh yeah.
flats and
Oh
stuff. I was
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
mm,
You could get stuck real easy in those build-up
there's
sections.
some gorgeous music in Hérodiade that,
Beautiful music.
is just, there's I think Vision Fugitive and Il est doux, il est bon. Is that what's the soprano aria?
I don't know. I don't know
Or is
why,
it
but I think
uh,
Il est doux is from a different show.
yeah, no,
Uh,
no. It's the one Latanya Moore sang so Depuis le jour.
Depuis le jour.
Depuis le
There you
jour.
go. There you go.
And then there's a
Sure.
great one for the tenor that I put on my album there. But anyway, it's
did
just the
you?
point.
Did
The
you now?
point is that Massenet music is so gorgeous and
Oh yeah.
so I think I don't want to say represented, but
Represent. Well, yeah. I'll
yeah,
say
but
underrepresented.
it's underappreciated because it's underrepresented. But it is very hard to cast because we don't have Weston Hertz and all these guys
Brian emails.
been falling out of the trees. But
Ethers.
yeah, but I mean, like, yeah, no, it's super duper fun. So getting back to that gig where you guys met, that's super fun. The Fledermaus, actually, when I was at Westminster because they didn't do the German dialogue. They sang in German, or they did, so I was doing. They invented this character as like the narrator, and so I kind of just told the story of what was happening in the dialogues between what was going on. But anyway, the point being, it's such a fun show.
Sure.
It
But
was fun.
Eisenstein can be kind of like a Barry tenor, like we were saying there, right? Like,
Well,
or
I remember
tenor with, yeah,
asking the general director who asked me to sing it for him. I
yeah.
said, "Isn't that a tenor role?" She's like, "Oh no, 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 darling, it's got to be a baritone." And I was like, "Well, I go, how high does it go?" She's like, "Oh, it only goes up to a G." And I went, "Oh, okay, all right,
Not
I can do
true.
that."
Not true.
Totally not true. There are A flats and there are A naturals,
As I
and
said, I
there is
think there's an A
one
natural, yeah.
B flat. There is a high B flat.
My God.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's in an
gosh.
ensemble, and I was just like, okay, I'm not going to do that, but
Fun.
That was so much
Super,
fun,
super
though.
fun. I saw that.
That was fun production, man. We had so much
yeah,
Yeah.
fun.
that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of
That was a lot
fun.
of fun. Yeah. And
Oh
then
my gosh.
Angela was our Angela Turner
Wilson
was
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 the
the opera?
Yep,
Rosalinda. That's
Oh,
right,
Rosalinda.
Rosalinda.
Rosalinda. Yeah.
Yep, and
right. And now
she had me back to Fort Worth last year to do the Cenerentola there.
well, I was just going to say, now she's
Magnifico
the
there.
general director at Fort Worth Opera. So
Yeah, and you're going to do
it
your
is
Sharpless, right?
I'm
So
going to sing Sharpless there next month or 2 months,
Super
but
fun. Yeah.
it's a small world. It's a small world, and I think that getting back to sort of I don't know how to frame this, but I think that every young singer starts off and we want to be at the top level that we can possibly be at,
Sure.
right? And to your point, household names. It's like, I mean, who is a household name? Like, probably everybody has heard of Pavarotti, but he unfortunately is no longer with us.
Right.
I think people have heard of Placido Domingo because of the whole three
Three
tenors
tenors
thing,
thing. Yeah.
sure.
right?
Yep.
But I mean,
Yep.
we would assume that everyone knows who Renee Fleming is, but I'm not sure that she could walk into any restaurant and not get noticed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Yep.
So it's not like other industries where, even like, let's say a semi-popular TV show that's on the CW or whatever, if somebody
Right.
goes to a restaurant that's on that, it's just a different level of
I think,
understanding.
yeah. I mean, I think Peter Gelb said something in the past week or two to the effect of, back in the Beverly Sills days, there were, people. I mean, could you imagine an opera singer guest hosting the Tonight Show in this
I
day and
know.
age
I know.
when, Johnny Carson, whoever was off, and like,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, I've seen the clips of Pavarotti singing and
Carson would have Marilyn Horne,
Meryl,
like all
yeah, and Marilyn
everybody.
Horne. It just was like, it just was so much more of the kind of fabric of entertainment and art. It like, crossed over
Yeah.
back in the day, and I see that it just feels like this, in generations for us, and certainly for our children's generation, the generations to come, that it's it holds a much smaller place in what is kind of on the TV and on the way that we all kind of what's in movies, what's in Netflix. I mean, the fact that Netflix wasn't, remember when they used to send DVDs in the mail
yeah,
on
sure.
Netflix? My daughters would be like, "What's a DVD?"
Right. It changes quickly. These mediums change very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yep.
Yeah.
I will say we did have a couple of our friends that were on Sesame Street. Isabel Leonard sang on Sesame Street
Isabel
with
was,
I
yeah.
don't know if it was Oscar the Grouch. Sam Raimi, of course, famously sang his
Toreador.
Toreador.
I think it was Elmo. I think she sang with Elmo.
She sang with Elmo.
I
Oh my
believe
gosh.
so. Yeah,
Millie was obsessed with Elmo when she was little. That's great. But I guess all of this, we've recently had a couple of episodes talking about the importance of creating your own paths and creating your own opportunities. And I think
Sure.
Adelmo, I mean, my gosh, you produced your own television show, for God's sake. I think you're the quintessential definition of creating opportunities for yourself and producing your own things and making art happen when maybe they're not banging on your door, that you create your own thing and bang on other people's doors to make it
Right.
happen. And I think that's super
Didn't-
important.
Didn't we see a Super Bowl commercial somewhere in there? I
yeah.
think, yeah, for
That did happen. That was
PlayStation.
crazy also. That happened. It was snow. I was sitting in Astoria with my wife, and we got a call from my agent at the time and said, "Do you know the Largo?" I'm like, "Do I know the Largo? I debuted that for Franco Corelli back in the day."
Yeah,
No.
right.
He's like, "Can you it was snowing like crazy. Can you get to an audition?" I was like, "Sure." She's like, "Okay, they just want you to sing the Largo." I said, "Okay." So got to the audition, and on the sheet about, it didn't say what it was for.
Yeah.
Didn't say what the company was.
Right.
It had picture of Bryn Terfel, Thomas Hampson, and Placido Domingo. So
Okay.
apparently, this was the look of it. They were looking for an opera singer. This
Right.
was the look of the opera singer that they wanted. The
Okay.
whoever printed this out, and then it had they're all going to make you sing like the beginning of the Largo.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, great. So I go into, I'm like, well, why am I even here? Like I'm bald. Like they're not going to pick me. What the hell, you know? So I go into the room cocky, I guess, because I didn't think I had zero shot at it because that's not what I look like, you know.
Yeah.
So I go in there and I'm just like, so they take out a laptop and they put on the recording of Robert Merrill singing the Largo, and I was like, okay, this is maybe a sign. I don't know.
We have
So
history.
I'm
We have
singing
history.
along with Merrill on a laptop in this
Oh,
recording.
there was no pianist or anything?
No pianist. No, they played
Wow.
his clip off of YouTube of him singing the Largo
And
for
they're
me to
like, "Go
sing
ahead,
along.
sing along."
Yeah,
Very
that's
different
it.
world.
Yeah. And I did. And I sang along and they stopped me halfway through and they're like, and all of a sudden it's like, they're like, okay, so we're going to be doing, can you sing some verses for us in English? I was like, sure. They're like, well, they're in the other room. Can you stick around? We would like to hear you sing some stuff in English. I'm like, fine. So I go in and I'm listening to some guy had already sung, some voiceover uh, actor had already sung through the Largo, good voice. And I was like, okay, but was singing it in English and they wanted me to listen, to learn, to go back into the room 10, 15 minutes and sing it again. So I learned it 10, 15 minutes. Like, mind you, this guy was really good. So I go in and I nail it again. I just got really lucky. Like, PS4 Pro, Dynamic 4K, so beautiful, can't look away. And I'm singing all these
That's fun.
lyrics and I'm doing stupid stuff. I'm like slamming things and like just miming things and just having a lot of fun. Um, and they're like, "Oh, okay. Well, thank you very much. It was very nice to meet you." I'm like, "All right, yep. Take care. I got to get back to Queens because it's like 3 feet of snow, and I got to take the subway."
Oh man.
So I go home, and my agent calls me that night, and she's like, "Are you sitting down?" I'm like, "Yeah. Why?" She's like, "You got it." I'm like, "I got what? You know that thing you
Like,
went
I
to
don't even
for?"
know what it was, right?
I didn't even know what it was. She's like, "You know the thing you went for today?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, that was to sing a commercial for the Sony PS4 Pro that's going to debut in the Super Bowl." I was like,
Wow.
"Ah." So as you can
That is
imagine,
awesome.
I mean, my wife and I just started crying. It's just like, "Oh my god, it's amazing." And
Yeah.
then the next 2 weeks, I was heading to Pensacola to do Romfus actually in Aida at that
Sure.
point. I was heading to Pensacola, and so they knew my schedule was tight. So in a week, I recorded 2 commercials and 6 15-second web clips. They're all on my website, all the for the different games that were for the PS4 Pro.
Wow.
Um, but the one that debuted on the Super Bowl, it was crazy. And I was flying home from Pensacola when it aired on Super Bowl Sunday, and we were at the bar in the airport because they told me the time. Luckily, I got to stand at the bar and say, "Hey, can you turn the TV up?" And the lady's like, "What?" I said, "But I'm gonna be on TV in a minute." She's like, "Yeah, right, honey." Blah blah blah.
Right.
And
Sure.
and my wife was like, "No, no, it's true." She's like, "Okay." And then the commercial came on, and there it was, and they were like, "Oh my god!" It was like really cool because it was like just I wasn't sitting in my room alone. I was at some bar with all these random people waiting for my
Right.
flight.
That's
Right.
Like
cool.
the
Yeah.
air, with my wife, which was great because had I been on a gig by myself, she wouldn't have been able to celebrate with me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that was crazy. 2019, and that led to a friend of mine, now friend of mine, seeing the commercial, finding I've been a voting Grammy member for I don't know 20 plus years.
Hmm.
She found me and wanted me to sing a song on her children's album as a featured soloist. And that year, I won a Grammy for the Grammy. She won the Grammy for her children's album that I'm on. So I'm like by default.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome.
Dude,
So it was like a
that's
20
incredible.
2019 was a good year.
Yeah, I love the way that, the tenacity and just like, you know what? I just love how you've served. It makes me think of like Sinatra and like you've done it your way, right? When your mom got sick, you did what you needed to do. I mean, like, and I know having been away, like for instance, when my grandmother passed away, I was in Paris and it was like the week before opening, and there was like, they're like, you can go. I was like, what? There's no way I can go. fly 10 hours home, be there for less than 24 hours to like what, go to the funeral and then get on the plane and come right back. I'll be exhausted. I probably might
Right.
get sick. Like she was one of my biggest fans, if not the biggest fan. She would want me to stay there and sing my shows. And
Right.
so that's what I did, but I was kind of numb a little bit. I mean, she had
Of
dementia
course.
and she had been kind of decline for a number of years. But it's still that's the end, right? Like that's it. You don't get another show or another take of that.
Right.
And with life, and I think that, with my own parents who are not that old, but I mean, every day passes. I mean, I'm 46 years old. I'm like, wow, when did that happen? I don't, seems like AVA was kind of yesterday a little bit,
Right.
but it's not. We're talking 20 years now. And, I hope that I'm in a position to when they need me that I'll be able to do that, whether it's over the summer, between stuff here at IU or whatever. But it's just hats off to you because not everybody would have the courage to do it. Not everybody would find a way to do it and be like, well, this is just what I'm gonna do. And it's just gonna happen. And hats off to you for being
Yeah.
able to just string it along and just keep stringing things together. And
Trying, man.
you've got a Super Bowl commercial and like Grammy. I mean, come on,
Right.
money comes and goes, that kind of stuff,
No, I know those
it's
are
awesome.
crazy one-off. Like, yeah, not even on my dance card either. Like those two things aren't even on your dance card as a singer.
I mean, yeah,
Like nowhere in the operatic world do you think those
not
two
even
things
on a
would happen.
bingo card, quite
Well,
frankly. You
Yeah,
know what I
right.
mean? With like the craziest things that are awesome, but like, would you think? I mean, maybe Grammy on there, but Super Bowl
Sure.
commercial, that's pretty
yeah,
far off.
no, that was
Right.
weird. And to your
Right.
point, like my dad, like I've had to take myself out of the loop here again because my dad
Hmm.
is 93.
Wow.
Um, he fell 2 summers ago and broke his arm. He broke some ribs, and then we found out that he has some bone cancer going on and
Oh gosh.
um, some blood anemia problems and congestive heart failure. And now
Oof.
he's a widower, obviously,
Yeah.
and he's living on his own. And we moved from Jersey back to New York, my wife and I, to be close to him.
Hmm.
He's still living on his own, but I see him every day because he's walking with a walker and he needs my
Sure.
assistance. And the past 6 months or so, I've had to turn down some stuff because I'm not sure, and some
Right.
some jump-ins that were offered to me. I can't, like, I'm going away on a gig next month, but I've planned it. So
Right.
I have people lined up. My wife,
Sure.
we have everything lined up, but it's, for a jump in and things like that, I've had to turn a few down over the past like year almost. And
Yeah.
I just hope that, when I come back out and my dad does pass eventually, that it's like, hey, I'm back. You're like,
Well, dude, you've never really left. Let's say that, right?
That's
And I,
true. I've been dipping my toe here, 2 or 3 productions a year, so you're right.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
it's just not as busy as I was immediately post-COVID,
And
so
I'll
work
say this,
weekend.
you're one of the kindest and most supportive and loveliest colleagues I've had the pleasure of working with. And
Aw,
so
likewise, brother.
so I think at the end of the day, people like working with nice people, and you got a voice on you to boot, and now you're in this buffo repertoire. And I think that as you've
Yes.
transitioned into this, I mean, so what are the roles that you sing now that you really call your wheelhouse?
Uh, I would say both Bartolos, and then definitely Magnifico. I'm going to Bob Jones, next month to do Dulcamara there, so Dulcamara is another one. I did Magnifico in Fort Worth, like I said, last year. Benoit Chindoro, like the sacristan, stuff like that. Any patter role, I have
Yeah,
super quick patter, which is great. A lot of my colleagues hate me when I start ensembles, like,
Because it's too
um,
fast, right?
it's so fast.
they're like, can we slow it down a little bit?
Yeah, I kind
Yeah.
of do it on purpose, So oh, what is that? There's one in Barber. I don't want to waste time, but yeah, everybody looks at me like, are you? But then the
That's funny.
conductors, if the conductor's cool, they will love that. So they're just like watching and see who could actually keep up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
And if
absolutely.
and if they all match speed, they're like, "Yeah, that was awesome. Let's have fun."
Right. Right.
But but I love the Buffo stuff. It's so much fun. Sulpice, I got a Sulpice coming up, which is great. I love that role.
All right.
So I'm just keeping that stuff fresh. I don't know if I shared this with Weston, but one of my mentors for the Buffo stuff was Peter Peter Strummer.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Oh, yeah, Peter.
another
Such a
okay, so
sweetheart of a man.
amazing. And cool thing, I didn't know this when I did Magnifico at Fort Worth last year. When I went to my costume fitting, it was his Magnifico costume.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
I lost it because he had just passed,
Sure, of course,
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Angela was there, and it was just like, man, it was really beautiful, a really um, cool thing to have happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, I worked with him, talk about like stringing things at lower companies or different levels. I met him because he was doing Magnifico at Shreveport Opera
Oh, yeah, right.
because he and Steve Aiken were very good friends, and I was doing Alidoro. So
Okay.
Peter
Mhm.
Strummer and I became fast friends because he was super cool and had all those great stories of who he worked
Yeah,
with and all that stuff. And um, so, I mean, you never know also who you're going to meet at these different level companies because,
Sure.
especially nowadays, there's lots of different levels of singers, in my opinion, coming into lower companies also. Like, not all, the regional circuit is filled with A level singers singing at A houses in these BC sometimes who show up,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know?
sure. I mean, I
So,
think, the end game is to try and just be a professional singer and be able to pay your bills singing. I mean, if you wanna I used to talk to other people about this, like, "Oh, what's it like singing here and here?" It's like, well, it's like going to the casino and playing blackjack, where you're either playing for 25 or 2,500 or 2,000, 20,000. It's the same game. You still wanna go out there and sing the best you can.
Right.
yep, yep,
No matter how much you're getting paid. But I mean, yeah, sure, the dream is that, but I think that for a lot of people, we should just keep in mind that the dream should be able to call yourself a professional singer, pay most of your bills or what you can by doing that, and that's a win. That's a win. It
I
doesn't
agree.
have to be at the biggest places all the time, because that comes with its own sacrifices of, of
Sure. Whole
nerves
nother
and
set of things.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No, I agree. I've been
Very
very
true.
lucky and happy to string together any level that comes my way. And I've been lucky enough to get on the Fort Worth Opera stage and the Palm Beach Opera stage and
Yeah,
Tampa and Pensacola and all these other companies too that aren't necessarily A houses, but the quality of the singers there were crazy. Like,
sure.
it's so
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
good
been a
stuff.
great it's been a
So
good
another
journey.
another little side note of Peter Strummer. Peter and I met singing Le Notte di Figaro at Michigan Opera Theater in
Mm,
Detroit back when it was called MOT.
right.
And I was singing the Count, and he was singing Bartolo, and we became fast friends. He was just such a sweet guy, such a nice man, And so when we were both working at New York City Opera, I guess it was the next season. Uh, we start. He was the one that introduced me to the Shun Li Chinese restaurant, who I and
Oh,
I just
yes.
and I just told Brian about it. They were
Yes.
there with their
Oof.
family.
Oh,
What was
so
that, like
good.
2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago?
That's the
Yeah,
goat.
something like
The
that, right
goat.
before Christmas. It was
Yep.
good, but it wasn't cheap, I'll tell you that much right now.
You got to save your pennies to go out for there,
But
man.
yeah, no, it's
It's
funny.
so good.
It's funny because he did Alberich in Das Rheingold in New Orleans back, I think, it was a long time ago. And Anthony Ventura was the Mimas, so they were old buds, and
Uh,
and so Loretta Bobby was singing. Greer was not doing the Votan; it was somebody else. But anyway, the point being is that I'm some nobody from Loyola who maybe had gone to Aspen, I guess, at that point, but nothing. And he just was like, "Hey, you're one of us. You're such a great guy." It's just very warm, and we had a lot of, like, as you do in New Orleans, lunches and dinners that were delicious and memorable. And like you said, the stories that guy had were just like, and he was so good at telling those stories.
Oh
oh
yeah.
my God. Yep.
What a sweetheart. God
Amazing.
bless him.
And,
Yeah.
and I will
Yep.
say this: I recently sang Germont La Traviata at Opera Colorado, and there is a beautiful painting of him in the dressing room hallway. I'll tell you this: Opera Colorado has the best dressing rooms in the business. This hallway of dressing rooms that they have is unbelievable.
Wow.
And in the two, like, depending on what show you're doing, but, let's say typically the soprano and the tenor dressing rooms,
Hmm.
there's like a 9-foot Bosendorfer in each one of the dressing rooms with like a beautiful leather couch
Wow.
and a bar and bathroom. Like, it's amazing.
Oh, wow.
And along that hallway are all these beautiful paintings of artists that have performed over the years there.
Yeah.
And there's a really, really great picture of Strummer. I'll see if we can't add
Oh,
it
that's
into that
cool.
the video here. So
That's so
Yeah,
classy.
that's
I
super
love
cool.
that. Yeah,
yeah. Well, dude, thank you so much for being on here. I think it's so important to
Been an
talk
honor.
about
Thank you, guys.
these sacrifices and successes
yeah.
and how things get pieced together. And so yeah, keep on keeping on.
Thank
And
you. I appreciate that. I hope to see you both in face to face one day soon.
absolutely, hopefully very soon, man.
For
Sounds
sure.
good. Thank you, guys. Again,
All
thank
right,
you. I appreciate this.
absolutely. We'll see you next
Hey,
time.
all right.
See you then.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us on Between the Notes. Make sure you hit that subscribe button.
And join us next week for more behind the scenes stories, laughs, and operatic gold coming your way.